Leah.
Another jab at President Trump. Despite efforts to help in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey and a personal donation of $1 million, well, some still trying to find new ways to undermine the president. Politico out with one we haven't really heard before, writing, quote, Pence shows Trump how to sweat it out with Texas victims. Here now, Hadley Heath Manning, Independent Women's Forum senior policy analyst. Hi, Hadley. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right. So Vice President Pence has been in politics for nearly 30 years. He gets the soft touch that someone who governs, someone who leads has to have. President Trump is a little newer at this. Is this criticism fair?
Well, first of all, I think I'm one of millions of Americans who are simply frustrated at the politicization of things like Hurricane Harvey, which is a non-political event. It's a tragedy. It's a crisis in the lives of so many people in Texas who have been displaced. So we should really focus on empathizing and helping. And that's what most people want to do. Jabs like this in Politico, trying to compare the vice president and the president, are really distractions. And I do think unfair. It's hard to imagine a response from the Trump administration that would be celebrated by his political opponents. They're always going to find something to criticize. But to be fair, at least several Democrats, prominent Democrats, like the governor of Louisiana, Governor Edwards, have praised the Trump administration's response. So I think people are coming together here more than we realize.
You know, the criticism from this article is basically that, that Vice President Pence was really talking to the victims. He was getting his hands dirty. He had gloves on, as compared to President Trump, who, left and went and did a tax speech. The First Lady came with a change of clothes when so many of these people don't have anything but the wet shirt on their back. What do you think? Are there some lessons learned from this administration as the comforter in chief?
Well, President Trump is an outsider to politics. It's fair to say that the vice president has more experience and maybe has a softer touch and a better approach in situations like this one. But on the other hand, the Trump administration has taken the right tack on Hurricane Harvey. They have mobilized FEMA. They've mobilized the Department of Homeland Security and the Coast Guard. In their official response, the Trump administration has done a very good job responding to the needs of people in Texas. And they've also emphasized that, sometimes the first person who shows up to help is not someone who officially represents the government, but it's your neighbor. It's someone from your community. It's someone from your church. And seeing those stories and celebrating those stories of people helping people, that's really the highlight. That's really the takeaway from Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah, and there are so many of those stories. Moving forward, what do you want to see from this administration?
Well, I think the administration's role now is to lead and to fulfill many of the promises that President Trump made on the campaign trail. A lot of people understand that he signed 53 pieces of legislation. He has appointed a Supreme Court justice. Those are victories. But many of the people who supported President Trump in the 2016 election are hoping to see tax reform. They were hoping to see health care reform, and they're still hoping to see changes there. So I think the administration has to lead forward, continue with their legislative agenda, and do what the American people elected him to do.
Yeah, and the president is planning to go back to Texas this week, and I know a lot of people will want to see him there and see that support from the administration. Thank you, Hadley.
Thank you.
Well, fresh allegations about the FBI's investigation into